Hi, my name is Paige Mollison. I'm going to be a senior in the Industrial and Operations Engineering program. I'm currently working for the Center for Healthcare Engineering and Patient Safety with Professor Amy Cohn, and I'm supported this summer by the Summer Undergraduate Research Experience, also known as SURE. My current project this summer has been called Provider Scheduling. It's made up of a group of IOEs and CS students, and we've been working with the University of Michigan MOTS-ED, building a optimization-based decision support tool to help the chief resident build their monthly schedules. So once a month, the chief will come over and we'll show them the schedule that we made, and we'll kind of tweak it a little bit. And it's been great because we've really cut down on the amount of time that the chief residents take to build the schedule, and we've been able to improve shift equity for all of the residents, and as well as reduce the number of canceled continuity clinics. So the second project I've been working on this summer is called the Pediatric Disposition and Flow, and in this project we've also been working with the MOTS-ED, and in here we've been able to actually observe for a little bit, and we have some data that we've been analyzing. We're trying to decide how an observation unit would work in their department, how patients would flow in and out, and types of things like the policies that an observation unit would have, the staffing that it would require, and actually how many beds would be utilized for the observation unit. The last project I've been working on this summer is called MEN, which is actually another scheduling problem where I've been working with one of the doctors down the endocrinology clinic to implement her 2-year-long weight management program. For this program, patients are meant to be seen on a very strictly regimented appointment schedule where they have to be seen by either a dietitian or MD for a specific amount of weeks over a span of 2 years. So currently we're working on optimization formulation where we can see best how to start all these patients so we can minimize the maximum start week for all these patients and as well minimize the maximum number of appointments that a doctor has to have in a day. Working at CHEPS is exciting because we have such a multidisciplinary group here. For example, on my Pediatric Disposition and Flow team, I'm working with nurses, other IOE undergrads, pre-med, med students. We're headed by a postdoc, and we're working with 2 of the doctors down at MOTS-ED, and working with such a different group of people brings such a different amount of ideas to the table, and since it's such a team-based atmosphere, it's really nice to work with med students, for example, because when we're observing in the ED, we don't really understand as much as what's going on their end of the table, whereas we see more of the flow side of it, where they see all of the health side. So it's really interesting to have the opportunity to work with such different types of people. I've learned so much this summer at CHEPS because there's so many different projects that I could be working on. Like for this summer, I'm only working on 3, but there's probably about a dozen projects that Amy has going on at CHEPS. But I've been able to do extensive work in linear programming and optimization formulation. I've learned how to code in CPlex, and as well I've gotten experience in database querying and lots of programming in VBA. I think doing research as an undergrad is super valuable because for me, I took linear programming, and it was one of the first classes at Michigan that I really loved, but I had a hard time seeing where it was going to fit into the real world. So after meeting with Amy and hearing about all of the research, it was the first time I actually got to do something that I could see where something I had learned was actually affecting somebody else. Like for our provider scheduling, it's just like a straight next step from my linear programming class. And I really liked to see that a class that I love so much was actually practical in the real world. And for me, and I think it's valuable for other people too, just because you could be taking all these classes and think you like it, but then you go in the real world and you don't actually like it, or vice versa. So it's just like another way to see if your degree is really what you want to do.